Hi guys, it's Vinny, and it's been a while, approximately over 3 weeks since I last filmed a video, and it makes me so sad to have waited so long to film anything for you guys. I'm so sorry, but I just want to let you know what's been going on with me lately this entire month, and it's not been good. So, when I got out of the program at the beginning of this month, I believe it was actually December 1st, I was set on a schedule because when I was at the program, I would wake up every day at 6 a.m. and go to bed around 9 or 10 p.m. Now, I knew once I got home that this was logistically not going to keep up, but I wanted to use it as a transition period in order to start waking up a little bit earlier. So maybe for a couple of days, I was able to wake up at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, and then go to bed around 10, 11. And it was okay. For a while, I thought it was sustainable, it was doable. However, I started getting really fatigued. Now, I thought it might have been like my medication or just some of the things that were happening around me. So at the time, I was apartment searching, especially the first week and a half as soon as I came back. So, first week of December into the second week. 3 apartments per day, driving around city to city, 45 minutes this way, 30 minutes this way, going to all the apartments I could possible because I knew then second week of December I had a deadline of you need to find an apartment now before we give your voucher away. So I was doing that and I was getting so stressed out because every place that I saw either was a little bit out of the price range or they didn't accept the voucher program. So it was just really disheartening. And it wasn't until the very last day I found an apartment that was willing to accept the voucher. So, I kind of just jumped on that and took it for what it was. Now, this apartment wasn't something I was particularly excited about. It is not the most spacious apartment, and that has me dreading it a little bit because my boyfriend, who will be living with me, I don't know how long, but he will be living with me. He didn't get to see the apartment. It was the only apartment that I went to where he didn't see it. So I know, especially from the experience that I've had apartment searching with him, I know that he won't like it. I know that he'll probably feel cramped and upset. And so I'm kind of worried about that. And it's also at the tip of the price range where it becomes almost unaffordable, which is a problem because the way that I'm going to be able to pay the apartment is he's going to use his income to pay the rent, while I use my DTA disability money, my $300, to pay the rent for my parents where I currently live. Speaking of that, I got some bad news on that front. So, I got a letter from the DTA this month, and basically they told me, oh, hey, by the way, Social Security told us that your application was denied, so if you don't apply for an appeal, we're going to take your money away. And, I'm not new to rejection or any kind of bad news because I consistently get that all the time in the mail. But what really shocked me was, wow, I didn't know that my Social Security application had any pull on my DTA funds. Because with the DTA, they they saw me and they considered me as disabled. They said, you're disabled. They agreed with my doctor. And, that was that. I thought that was going to be finite. I thought that was going to be like, hey, listen, you paid your dues and here's the money so that you can afford to live, essentially. But nowhere did they tell me in the application process that my getting funded was dependent on Social Security seeing me as disabled. The reason why I didn't think that was because one, nobody told me, and two, they take away your DTA funds when you're approved for Social Security. So I didn't think they would take it away if you weren't approved either, because that's absolutely ridiculous. It's like, alright, so this government program doesn't see you as disabled, but this program does, so what's the problem? And that really, F's me out because this is supposed to be the money that I'm using to pay my parents' rent, and if for whatever reason, let's say I move into my new apartment and 2 months later they take it away from me, essentially everyone's screwed. I'm screwed over, my parents are screwed over, and that's a lot of pressure on me that I just can't handle. So there was that going on. Then in the mix of all that, there was a death in my boyfriend's family. That kind of like upheaved everything that was going on in terms of schedules, getting things done, getting appointments done. So that was really hectic. And then also my sibling, and of course that is at no fault to them because I'm so proud of them, had a name change. And for a moment, it really hit me hard because I was dealing with this death situation, this apartment hunting, like wondering if I was going to be able to afford anything, wondering if I was going to be stuck here forever, unhappy in this, toxic environment. And then my sibling goes and says, oh, hey, here's a name change. And it was like my mind wasn't ready for it. My mind was like, oh my God, there's so many things going on at once. I don't know how to handle this. So what happened was it turned into me kind of avoiding them. And I know they didn't notice, thank goodness, because I would never want to make them upset. But I was kind of avoiding them because I was so afraid that I would misgender them. And I didn't want to. And I knew that there would probably be times where I would make a mistake and call them by the wrong gender, call them by the wrong name. And I was so deathly afraid, and I wanted to be such a perfectionist that I ended up kind of like avoiding looking at them, avoiding talking to them, and it was horrible. And all the while that was going on, I felt more and more guilty because it's like, why is it so hard to just call them by their new name? Like, why is it so hard? And I realized it wasn't the name change that was hard. It was me going through all this other stuff and me going through depression. So that's kind of like the final and the most important segment of this video is my depressed state went into overdrive this month. Now, I haven't felt this depressed since, I don't know, sometime last year. And I don't mean 2015, I mean 2014. And it has really just knocked the wind out of me. After I was done with the apartment searching on week 2 this month, I just lost, like, everything. I lost my vision, like, because it was there was so much forward momentum in trying to get an apartment. It was like, this needs to be done, this needs to be done. And I was just, like, going, running, full steam ahead until it ended abruptly, and then I was like, what am I supposed to do now? What am I doing now with my life? There's nothing, there's no goals. And, in the back of my mind, of course, I was thinking about my videos, the ideas I had, the projects I wanted to make, but it was so far out of reach. It was just so far away that I didn't know what to do with myself. So I spent a few days kind of like giving myself a break and sort of like relaxing and recovering from having all this hecticness around me. But it ended up not being a break. It ended up being me sliding into a horrible slump of depression. And it's just gotten worse and worse. Every day, I try to wake up at 9 like I was doing before, but I can't. I will wake up and I will feel absolutely lethargic, absolutely fatigued, horrible, almost like I can't move. So I just lay there in bed, and when I finally decide to get out of bed, it's around noon, it's around 1 o'clock, and I feel awful because I missed a great, some potential for the day, and I just feel miserable. And then it just kept getting worse and worse where, one day I would wake up and I would say to myself, I'm hungry, I want breakfast, but I don't have the strength to do it. So I would wait an hour. Then some days it would be 2 hours. Then eventually what happened was I was like, I don't need to eat breakfast. And eventually that led to, I don't need to eat lunch. I just need to eat dinner and call it a day. And of course, eating less only made me more and more fatigued. And then I started trying to depend on coffee to kind of wake me up and sustain me during the day. But that only made me feel miserable and sick. And things just got really terrible. Everything that I dreamt of, everything that I wanted for the end of the year, all my plans just went to crap. And I've never felt, well, I have, but I haven't felt so miserable for so long. And eventually I stopped taking showers. I even stopped taking one of my medications. Thankfully for me, it wasn't any of my my meds empty. every time I had to go out with a friend or a family member, as much as I wanted to be there, and I did, in my heart of hearts, I wanted to be there for them. I knew that this would make not only them happy, but this was something that I wanted. But as soon as I got to do, whatever it was, which was either visit someone or go to someone's event, whatever it was, I felt so miserable. And I know myself, I don't ever want to let it show because, that kind of is not my goal there. My goal is to be, try 100% my best to be fully engaged, to kind of, prep myself up, but it never worked. And even though I was with people I loved, I never felt happy. I felt miserable. Sometimes I felt angry. There was at one point where I had to go to somebody's concert, and it felt like torture. It felt like torture being there. I thought I was going to have a panic attack. I didn't want to participate in anything. And so with all that being said, of course I'm going to want to make videos. I could barely take care of myself. And it sucks. I managed to get through the holidays. They were okay. And I really hope that you guys out there also managed to get through them too, because I know sometimes for some of you guys out there, it's really rough. It's a rough time of year. Sometimes you might go to family members that you don't like, or maybe there are people that you associate with that are bigoted or have very hurtful opinions. There might be some misgendering, and I really hope that, especially if you're watching this, that you hung in there and you made it and you did it, and I'm really proud of you. So yeah, I just wanted to say that my depression has been absolutely horrific. It's been just awful, and I'm really hoping that with this new year, I'm going to be able to get up and at the very least, make some vlogs. Even if the vlogs contain topics that I do want to talk about, maybe it won't be this dazzling, well-edited video. Maybe it won't be, something of higher caliber that I was anticipating. But at least I'm here, I'm sitting here, I'm talking, I'm doing it. And I don't know if you can see in this camera angle, because I can't actually kind of see what I'm looking at. But I'm wearing my PJs, and I basically got out of bed and was like, let's do this. And one last thing I want to say, what doesn't help? The lack of sunlight. Yeah, it only compounds onto my depression, because every time I wake up, it's like, oh, hooray, I get to enjoy the sunlight for 2 more hours. And every day here in New England, it has been non-stop gray, cloudy days. There's been maybe 3 days the entire month of December where it was sunny. Every other day is cloudy. Like today is cloudy. And fun fact, I actually recorded the same video yesterday. It was bright and sunny. I was happy, ecstatic. I was actually motivated for the very first time. And I wake up today. Oh, I see. It's cloudy, of course. But I really didn't want to let that stop me, so here I am. And hopefully I have managed to make it at least watchable. So thank you guys for sticking around and sticking by me. I really appreciate it. And if it's one thing that keeps me going, it is the YouTube community, both content creators and people who watch. And thank you so much for your support and for your views. I can't say enough. It keeps me going. It really does. And it means a lot to me. And for any of you new guys out there, hopefully you'll get to see more content, newer content, good content that you're excited about. There are still a couple of videos that are left, video series that is left undone, and I'm going to finish that. That is going to happen. So yeah, thank you for watching this video as always, and I hope to see you next time. Bye!